Tony Tonkin here from Wise, Witty and Weird. Another outreach session to our many thousands of people that connect with me around Wise, Witty and Weird to hear wonderful and exciting things about probably nothing, which is fair enough. But today I did want to talk about Qanon. And who are they? Are they a threat to us? Are they going to make our lives any more significant or different than the way they already are? And I must confess, I have a bit of a focus. I wouldn't say I'm delving into them all the time, but I do question what they're about. I'm interested in anything that appears to be a wee bit different, something which challenges us, something which influences and impacts other people, in the same way that I'm interested in the way religion, in fact, impacts and influences people as well. So I was interested in having a look at Qanon because even though I thought I understood something about them, and I decided to do some research last night and discovered that I probably knew everything that there was to know about them. But there were some interesting sites that actually told us about how to manage QAnon believers and whether or not we needed to take any particular action that against them, I guess. And there's a couple of points I want to make. I guess the most significant point is, are they a threat in any way, shape or form to our society? And the bottom line is I don't believe that they are. I believe that most people that believe in conspiracy theories believe in them because often they're probably afraid. And they want to believe in something that's quite ethereal, that they don't have any... that supports their worst beliefs, supports the things that they probably fear the most. And QAnon, I guess does that. Whether we want to believe that somehow some people that all Democrats are pedophiles, eating children and all that sort of stuff, whether we want to believe the worst possible scenario that we can about Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama, or that Michelle Obama is actually a man. And if we want to believe any of that stuff, I often think, what is it that we need to have sitting in our subconscious that causes us to want to believe those things in the first place? And I guess I realize that to a large extent, it's fear of the unknown, and sometimes it is even hatred of people that are different, and it may even be the dislike and hatred of people that have power and influence, because those people are people that these people, the QAnon believers, believe have control over them. So there must be, according to QAnon, a power and influence that is greater than them, that is almost godlike, and that will bring about significant change in a way that is going to rid us all of these terrible, revolting people that sit in the world that control our lives. And I know that, I've got some relatives who believe in this stuff. I choose not to have an argument with them now about it because the arguments don't resolve anything. They want to believe in what they choose to believe in, and as far as I'm concerned, that's fine. I get a little bit concerned because I recognize that developing that level of fear and suspicion about almost everything is unhealthy. Psychologically, emotionally, in terms of the relationships that we have, it's unhealthy. I watched a couple of videos last night that you can check in on YouTube where children of parents are particularly damaged by the way their parents have adopted QAnon theories and how it has divided those families. In fact, in a couple of cases they cited, has separated the kids from the parents to the point whereby the kids don't want to have anything to do with the parents. They feel lost, they feel hopeless and helpless about what's happening with regard to their parents, and they would like to be able to make change for their parents, but they can't, because the parents just see them as part of the problem. So if you challenge the QAnon beliefs, you're buying into this cabal of sex offenders and whatever. And I just actually need to say, because my interest is in working around improving outcomes for kids, which is why I have the Child Protection Party and involved in that area as far as my social work is concerned. I am also concerned about not only the psychological impact, but, you know, if you are concerned about what's happening with regard to kids, then assuming that a whole host of these people that you don't like are therefore involved in pedophilia is just a stupid and crazy idea, I think, because if you want to get involved in solving look, I appreciate that the concern around children is real. I have that same concern. I know that there are kids out there that have terrible, horrific experiences, sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse. I know of kids that have been sold basically around a group of people, a pedophile ring. I know that this happens. Does it happen to an extent that we need to be concerned about? Of course it does. If it's happening once, we need to be concerned about it. Is it happening to the extent that there's a whole group of people, namely Democrats? Notice no Republicans involved in any of this, no right-wing people, it's all left-wing. But should we be concerned? Yeah, of course we should be. Every one of us should be concerned about what happens to kids. Is it happening on a grand scale, which is what QAnon wants people to believe? No, it isn't. Does it happen? Yes. Should we do something about it? Of course we should do something about it. And people like myself and others are attempting to do something about it every day. But it is not happening at the level that some people assume it is. Now, I've been doing this work for 30 years. And I can remember when I first started, and that was at a counselling service. It was a phone counselling service. And someone came to me and started to talk to me about an incident where they believed there was a cult, a satanic cult that was operating in one part of the city. And I was concerned. It was the first I ever heard of this stuff. I questioned her about, so she was somebody I was working with. She said, well, this is what's happening. I questioned her about it. It was interesting because she wasn't able to bring forward any specific information. So there wasn't like a person, a child or an adult who was involved. There wasn't anybody who could come forth and talk about who this cult was, where this cult were, what exactly were they doing. And I found it difficult to believe something for which I could not have any evidence to establish its truthfulness or not. And I've had many cases since then whereby certainly I can establish that there were people that were sexually abusing kids, because I've spoken to all of these families and the kids who are now adults about their experiences. So it's been verified. I know that happens. I don't deny that sexual abuse happens in our society. I know it does, horrifically, it does. But does it happen in the way that QAnon pronounces? No, it doesn't. Could it happen in the way? I guess everything's possible. I remember I was listening to a podcast, I think, and a guy who was an expert in QAnon, in conspiracy theories, stated that that there's some element of truth within most conspiracy theories. The truth within the conspiracy theories around a cabal and sexual abuse and ripping off kids' faces and sucking blood and this terrible shit they go on with. The truth in that is that there is abuse. That is the truth, right? The exaggeration and the conspiracy is that it's happening by this specific group of people. that is where it falls apart. JFK, he was assassinated by the CIA. The truth in that is that the CIA get involved in some pretty crappy stuff around the world. There may be a connection between the CIA and John F. Kennedy. I don't know. But yes, the truth is that they do some crappy things. Could they have taken this man out? Well, maybe yes, but there's no evidence to suggest that. The guy whose name I've forgotten, was found, and he was convicted, and eventually he was shot on the way out of prison one day, or to court. So we know Lee Harvey Oswald. So we know that this is the most likely possibility because it was the one which was investigated and so on. Do people cover up? So another truth could be, do people cover their stories up? Yeah, of course they cover their stories up. The FBI, CIA, do we need to be suspicious of them? We need to question what they do. There needs to be an authority or a body that looks at what it is that they do. Do they do things that are innately horrible? No, I don't think they do. I think that they have a set of principles and values that most of them attempt to follow. Do people waver from that? Of course they do. Do we have corrupt police? Yes, we do have corrupt police. Do we have corrupt social workers? Yeah, I can tell you we do. But on the whole, on balance, these people in general do the job that they're assigned to do. They're not all corrupt. Doesn't mean that then that corruption can get away literally with murder. Yeah, I guess it probably does. But doesn't mean that it's on the scale that QAnon believes that it is. No, it isn't. So, and I guess this is the element of truth stuff. If we believe a little bit of this stuff, then because there are elements of truth and we just build layer upon layer upon layer upon that, it then takes on a reality of its own, which can be, or appears to be, harmful to some extent. But the question I've been asking myself lately, to what degree is it harmful? I think that one of the things that happens is that organisations like the Proud Boys get on the back of, and the Oath Seekers, these people get on the back of these theories because to some extent the people that believe in these theories are also supporting racist beliefs, anti-Semitic beliefs, and other misogyny. They're supporting a whole host of really unhelpful, antisocial type beliefs that disrupts society. Are these people in such massive forms that they will eventually be able to take over the world? It's unlikely, but it is evident that at the moment within the Republican Party in the US and to some extent here in Australia with regard to Craig Kelly, there are people that are subscribing to some of these crazy beliefs. And then you get someone like Donald Trump who steps in, who starts to use these beliefs in order to develop some fervour and some discontent amongst his supporters. Now, I don't believe Donald Trump does this intellectually because I don't think he's got a friggin' brain in his head, but to some extent he locks into. So I guess he's smart enough to know that these people can be manipulated, and if he can manipulate them or agree with them in some form or another, then they'll go along with him, and that if that support will help him to get whatever he wants. So it's never about what's good for him or good for society. It was always good for him and what was in his best interest. Now, I did watch a video the other day so it had this guy, and this is another thing that really irritates me, I guess, was that it was telling, it had a guy who stated that Donald Trump is the smartest man ever. Now my humble view is that Donald Trump, some people argue he's smart because he became president, whatever, just think. American system, right place, right time, and he made it. And I look at a lot of the people they have in power there, some of the people we have here in Australia, and I think, my God, some of these people actually aren't all that bright. And Donald Trump isn't. There was this picture, though, of Trump and the three-layered chessboard. So it was just in his old office in Trump Towers, and someone had inserted, he plays three-dimensional chess. The man would not be able to play one-dimensional chesses or tic-tac-toe. He's not very smart. But they need to believe that for some reason he's going to bring about the change that they require. So that brings us to the storm. Now, the storm was supposed to be an event which was to happen on January the 6th in the US at that rally that he had instigated. And at the storm, there was going to be a great takeover where all these people were going to be arrested. They were going to be locked up, tried, and executed. And, of course, amongst those people were all Democrats. And I guess anybody who disagreed with Donald Trump would have also been amongst those people. So there was an attempt. Now, this is the thing. There was an attempt to fulfill that sort of prophecy. There was an attempt. And the scary thing was that I don't think it was necessarily the QAnon-driven people that brought about the sedition. I think it was more or less people like the Oath Seekers and the Proud Boys and other right-wing groups got involved in this to overthrow the government. And because they have other interests that are not about what QAnon fear and those other poor people. It's actually about what they want to change in terms of white supremacy. And so the storm didn't happen. So it reminds me of moments around the end times. So where certain religious beliefs say that at this particular time there's going to become an end to the world. That those people who don't believe will be swept up, taken to hell, whatever, and the rest of the world will be cleansed, and all those other people will be redeemed. Well, what happens when that never happens? And it never has. What happens then? Then people reinvent another end time. They somehow think, oh, I've got it wrong. There will be another time. They don't look at it and say, well, we stuffed up. It didn't turn out to be exactly what I said it would be, so it must be another time. We got it wrong. If you get something wrong, then you've got to admit that that not only you made a mistake, but the process you used to get there was wrong. So if you're doing a maths exam, or you're doing a maths test or whatever, and you get your answer wrong, it's the process along the way that was wrong, which produced the answer that was wrong. If you have a better process along the way, then, and all those processes along the way produced an outcome that was right, then you know that the processes were good. In the QAnon theories never proved to produce the outcome that they say that they are going to have, because the process is wrong, because it's not based on fact, it's not based on science, it's not based on reality, it's not rational. So therefore, all those elements are incorrect. Hence, the result is incorrect. The interesting thing is that no matter what you say to them, even though you may point out the facts, they still don't want to believe it. So are these people a threat? No, they're not. Are the people that inflame them, that have another agenda, that are really hate-based individuals, are they a threat? Yes, they are. The fact that that somewhere in Alaska there's this machine that was invented by whom I've just forgotten, but it can change the weather. And is that a problem? No, that's not a problem, because it doesn't exist. Right? So you can believe in that stuff. You can believe in fairy tales. You can believe in fairies and goblins and all the other stuff, that is fine. Believing in that, believe in God, right? Believe in whatever version of supernatural human being or being you want to believe in, that is fine. Don't have an issue with any of that, because that's not going to affect anybody. But when you get a group of people together who want to take physical and violent actions against another group of people, then that's when it's wrong. That's what we need to protect against, not the beliefs that these people hold. We're not going to change their beliefs, so why bother? But we can certainly work towards ensuring that whatever their beliefs are don't ferment and develop into violence. And the other thing too that came out of some of the research I was doing is that, we need to accept these people because of their differences, not separate ourselves from them because of those differences. So we need to, we can engage with people, but we don't have to agree with them. We can engage with people that have different beliefs to us, whether that be on the right of politics or left of politics, but we don't have to believe what they believe. But it doesn't mean we can't have a relationship with them. And if we're working to have that relationship and they're choosing not to, then that's their choice. That's not about us. At least we're trying to work towards having a better relationship with them. And one day, they may understand us and where we're coming from and why we have a different view, and we may understand them and why they have a different view. Because somewhere in the middle there's some conversations we can have about other stuff that's not about these extremes, right? And that in that middle stuff may come something that needs to be healed, that needs to be changed for everybody. So we need to look to that stuff and find out what it is. But at the end of the day, I think probably QAnon and those sort of conspiracy theories are here to stay. We don't need to embrace them, but we need to accept them as part of other people's reality. So thanks everybody for being with me. Now, before I leave though, I just want you to know that you can subscribe and to this channel, and you can ring the bell, and you can be notified in the future of any future YouTube videos. And if you've got anything that you want to say, please say it below. And also, if you want to subscribe to our Patreon page, please feel free to do so as well. We'd love to have you. And eventually we'll have Avery back talking about his stuff as well. So we're going to have a conversation with Avery about religion and how that fits in his life also. So thanks everybody for being with me. And around the COVID stuff, just make sure you stay safe, look after yourselves, keep social distancing, wash your hands, and make sure you don't hang around anybody that has been hanging around someone with COVID. Take care. Be safe, everybody.